at Cataway Place, and we're here to talk with Trevor Baine, who's with us, who just finished the Moab 200.
What's going on?
Yeah, so this is an incredible race. On Friday, October 13th, 2017, I flew out to Moab to help Trevor finish a 238-mile foot race up 29,000 vertical feet, which is the same height as Everest. He finished in 5th place and was able to do the race in 69 hours, which is just under 3 days. He got 3.5 hours of sleep over 3 days and was running day and night. It's really an incredible race, and we were just so glad that he finished and so proud of him. So I'm here just to talk about it. Now, Trevor, what kind of preparation did it take to do such a long race?
I think the longer a race is, the more the mental component is a factor. So I tried to increase my training a bit, but what I really was much more focused on was getting in the mental mindset of running for 3 days. And I always just told myself it was going to be 3 consecutive days of running all day, as opposed to trying to think about a distance. So that was a really big part.
That's awesome. Now, I'm wondering, physically, it must have been grueling. How did your body hold up? What was the journey like for your body and physically?
Physically, it held up better than I thought. A big thing you have to worry about is your feet, and so just one of the hardest parts is just the pounding your feet take. And the way I dealt with that was to take my shoes off at every aid station and clean my feet off, tape up any blisters, things like that. In terms of the muscles, they really, you're walking a lot of time, and they held up a lot better than I thought. I mean, there were parts in the race where I felt like I hadn't been running at all, but I'd been running for 180 miles. It really wasn't until the last 20 or so miles that I started to allow myself to feel some pain.
And how much pain were you in?
It felt like I'd been running for 3 days. It wasn't like significant joint pain. I had a little bit of like a shin splint thing, but it was just very, very fatigued legs, if you can imagine.
Now, I'm wondering, physically it seems exhausting, but mentally there must be a lot of highs and lows and just a whole journey and mental undulations that go on as you're running constantly without sleep for 3 days straight.
Yeah, there definitely are. One thing that I try to do is to minimize those undulations. I think you can really take yourself out if you let yourself get, a big runner's high, because you're inevitably going to crash even deeper. But even so, there certainly are undulations. Nighttime's always a bit harder. It gets lonely and isolated. It was a big help mentally to have a crew there. I got to see you guys every couple hours, and I got to run a couple sections with Adam and Justin, which was huge from a mental perspective, just having human interaction.
Now, it seems like it's more of a community out there than it is a competitive sport. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I think at any one of these races, they're usually over 100 people running, and just a handful of people really care about trying to win the race. As you said, I finished pretty close to the top, but it really wasn't in my mind what place I got. People are just out there for the journey. And Adam and I, in one of the last sections, were coming down a hill at night, and we saw this guy walking up towards us. He was the guy in front of me, and he seemed really dazed and out of it. And rather than me try to run past him and intimidate him, we just kind of all banded up together and ran the next 10-15 miles together.
That's pretty cool. I just remember being at camp and it being 10 degrees one night, and we were freezing, and we were looking at you up in the mountains, and man, I was worried, to be honest, because it was so cold and so dark, and you were out there alone, just like after running over 100 miles, continuing on. I'm wondering how did the elements affect you during the race?
Well, I think I got a bit lucky with the weather and the elements. You're out in the desert, so there basically wasn't a cloud in the sky the whole 3 days. So sun exposure and heat during the day were really my biggest concerns. And I had to be out there 6 hours at a time between aid stations. So kind of just making sure I had enough water, protecting myself from the sun. That was the biggest thing I had to worry about. I got pretty lucky with the cold weather at night. It definitely got to the 20s and 30s probably where I was. But I hit those mountains kind of as the sun was coming up, so it was actually perfect timing. But you carry extra layers. I put on gloves and a hat at night.
What was it like running at night?
You get used to it if you've done it a lot, but it's certainly if you're feeling lonely and isolated, it's a little harder at night. You obviously you have a headlamp, you can't see as much. I actually came across a bear in the middle of the night, which woke me up and scared me a bit. It was a bear cub, but there was no mama in sight, which is good. But yeah, your mind starts playing kind of more mental tricks on you at night versus the day. That's when like the mild hallucinations start, all that fun stuff.
Nice. I mean, physically, like just the endurance that you must have now after hundreds of miles of training, and you must be able to run much further and just be much stronger physically. I'm just wondering, do you think you've changed at all mentally speaking?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, one thing I really like about these races, it's that they're very challenging tasks, but they're very doable. And I think all of us face challenges in our life, and sort of putting myself in these really controlled but difficult environments and trying to complete something that's really hard, I think it's given me a lot more confidence in dealing with difficult situations in real life. So I think I definitely have more resilience than I did a couple years ago.
That's cool. For us mere mortals who would never dare run 238 miles up 30,000 vertical feet over 3 days through day and night without sleeping, we're just wondering why do you do this?
It's a great question. I think there are a lot of reasons. I could probably answer this over the course of an hour. But one is that I love the outdoors and I love exploring new places. With Moab, I'd never been there. I got to see all of Moab and the surrounding area in 3 days. Two, it gives me something to work for during the year. Keeps me motivated to exercise and stay healthy. And I think, as I sort of said before, I really love the challenge of, or there's something pretty liberating about having a very difficult challenge that at its core is very simple. I mean, we all face difficult things in life, but with a race, all I have to do is get from point A to point B. And I have to worry about eating enough, drinking enough, and like taking care of my feet. And the rest is kind of simple. So again, it's a really difficult challenge, but it's really simple, and it kind of strips away all the complexities of life.
And what would you tell someone who's thinking about doing a 50 or their first 100, or maybe even, considering doing one of these ultras?
Yeah, I mean, I think I came at this from a marathon background, and I was a very goal-oriented, time-oriented marathon runner. And I think I started off my ultra running career kind of with that mindset, and I would urge people to think of it more as just a race, and these events are so much more. It's a chance to get outside and enjoy nature, and focus less on a time goal, a place goal, and just to get out there and love it.
Well, that's awesome. Thanks for spending the time with us. Keep at it. We'll be there supporting you the whole way, and we can't wait to see you in your next race.
Thank you.